And we are live on the Red Pill News. Red Pill News. Red Pill News. Red Pill News. Take the red pill. You know what taking the red pill means? People ask me, Michael, what does taking the red pill mean? Is it a cure? Yes. Is it a tool? Yes. Is it a special pair of glasses that make you see through all of the BS? Yes. Remember Roddy Piper, the wrestler, Roddy Piper, and he makes this movie called They Live, right? Which is this is aliens living in our society, and then but you can't. They look like everybody else, except you put these glasses on, these sunglasses, and you get to see what they're all about, and all the ads that are up there, on the billboards or the television ads are really messages like obey and things like that. It's actually a very interesting movie. A lot of people point to it for the decay of our civilization and how people kind of are just trending towards being educated by the media and not knowledge. Not knowledge. We're seeing this. So the red pill, but the red pill also sees through gender things, issues, problems. I mean DNA, whatever. When you're dealing with the opposite sex and that type of stuff, it's good to understand who you're dealing with, and of course, it all falls to the individual. But of course, if those individuals all share the same thing, they're all part of the same group, and then you can kind of understand where their heads are at. So you yourself don't get in a situation where you're not in control of your life. If you're a guy and some chick has you wrapped around her little finger, look at the prince there. I mean, perfect example of, we call that a blue pill male. We call which is somebody who is a utility living in complacency, letting somebody else control them and rule them. Yeah, of course Prince has mommy issues. She died, whether she was killed or she died in a horrible accident, whatever. She's dead, she's gone. And he doesn't have any closure in that. And obviously, Prince Charles is kind of a cold bit of a thing himself, and you can see how he was ripe for the picking, for some narcissistic femme to come along and wrap him around her little finger. She's older than him. She pulled the mommy role. Hey, you ever see? She did all those photo shoots wearing the exact same clothes of that his mother wore, the princess, when she was out there doing her humanitarian work or whatever. This girl did the same thing. She's mirroring. That's what people like that do. They mirror, one, your personality; number two, your interests; number three, the things that mean a lot to you. So they take that role, they take that place, and then once they have control of you, they completely destroy you until something better comes along. And that's what happens to everybody. It happens, man. So it's good to know. So we say take the red pill. The red pill also, you hear the men's rights movement or MGTOW people. I don't believe in any of that. I believe in men's rights, of course. I believe in everybody's rights. But the whole MGTOW, men going their own way, I understand it, because there's men who have been burned and burned and burned again. But it is you who allowed yourself to get burned, grasshopper. So if you take the red pill, you don't allow yourself to get burned. And besides, you gonna shut women out of your life? Really? Really? That's what we got. What about? I'll tell you one thing. Yeah, okay. You could go out there and be a monk and not be with anybody. That's a very boring, lonely existence. Even if you have a dog or a couple of cats, it's a very boring, lonely existence. There's something nice about sharing things with people. There's also something nice about sharing things with people who have understanding of the similar memories. Like I was talking to this woman on Long Island, and we sort of grew up in the same place. A couple towns over, but we remember the same places. We remember the same things from the same era. And it's just kind of nice having that conversation. But it's up to you. if you get in over your head, so to speak, because once that lust drive kicks in, then that's when men usually start thinking with their penis, and they don't really get an understanding if they're being taken advantage of because they are in the situation. My mom took me to school a long time ago about that because I was in one of those situations when I was 19 years old with a woman who was older than me, and it was a tumultuous relationship because my confidence and my ego were becoming shattered. And the more I was into being with her, the more control she had over me. And the more I wasn't seeing things clearly. But fortunately, my default personality is a pirate. Right. And then when things like that happen, it's like an automatic program that kicks in that automatically I have to fire my cannons, grab my sword, laugh heartedly, and just kind of hack about until I'm done. And I also have a wicked, 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 unbelievable fu attitude, and also a wicked, 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 unbelievable, bigger than any mountain on this planet sense of I have to get even. So there's also that, you know. So I just look at it this way, right? Whatever you are in your world, whatever color you are, whatever religion you are, whatever the hell you subscribe to, I don't know what you do. I know this: you want to be happy or at least content, no matter who you are. You want financial security, no matter who you are. You want to be treated fairly and properly and with equality, no matter who you are. So these are some very simple fundamentals of what of life and what people should have. I think that it's not entitlement either. Entitlement is kind of a bad word to me sometimes. Yeah, are you entitled? Yeah. You know what? We work for these goals. We work to be trusted. We work hard to show people what we're all about. And it's not just to show people. This is what we are. And that's what people can observe about us, right? It's what people can see about what we do and how we hold ourselves. So it's respect and self-respect, and every human on the planet can achieve that self-respect. I don't care. Yeah, sure. You grew up in abuse. You treated horribly. Yeah. So was I. Stuff I had to watch for my mom and what she went through, what I went through. Horrible father. He made some great kids, but that's all he did. He was a horrible person. But do you let that hold you back? You let that stop you? No. I use it to empower myself, and understand that I'm not like that. I'm well beyond, well beyond. And I respect myself, and that's what it is. Respect yourself. You get through the day. Don't let people tear you down. Don't let people make you think you're something that you're not, and or that you're not living up to someone's expectations, so automatically you're a bad person, right? Or you don't jump to do everything for them 100% of the time, and so then you're thoughtless or terrible. I've been through that too. And you get in that cycle. And it's easy to get back in the cycle. That's why taking the red pill is even more important, because you recognize when you start making those mistakes, and it literally tells you to do the opposite. If you ever seen that show Seinfeld, when that guy, the character George, decided to start doing the opposite of all of his impulses, and his life was great. Things were great, and he was just doing the opposite of what he normally does. So, do the opposite, I guess. So, moving right along, COVID-19. I'm hearing people say, I don't believe in that. It's funny when people say believe, because that's the word people use when referring to a religious deity that you have to believe in, because there's no tangible proof, evidence, nothing of all of that, what they make up as they go along. They just want telling you a story. They want you to believe, right? Giving you a line. They want you to believe. And it really comes down to your perception, and what you do truly believe in your heart. COVID-19 is not something to believe in. It's what is. There's evidence. It's tangible. You can see it. If I make a hamburger right now, let's say I make a nice juicy cheeseburger, right? Psh, put it on one of those fresh baked sourdough rolls, man, with some cool stuff, jalapenos. You know what I mean? With some cheddar cheese. You don't have to believe in it because it's real. You can eat it. You can swallow it. Whatever you want to do with it, you can throw it out the window. It's real. It's tangible. COVID-19 is real. It's tangible. So okay, what do you believe in? You believe you're not going to get it. This Delta variant is as infectious as chickenpox, Ebola, smallpox. There are droplets that are aerosolized to go through the air. And the group, I'm in this group of Israeli doctors. I kind of, they don't know I'm not a doctor. So I kind of slid in there with some just whatever, nothing, whatever. I don't know how I got it. I just kind of joined the group and I was there. It's like a party, that people are having, and then somebody kind of just shows up, and you don't know who they are, but you figure they're supposed to be there. The wedding crasher type of person. Yeah, that's me. I'm a doctor crasher. So the group that I'm in Israel, who remain nameless, uh, believes that this Delta variant can get in through your eyes. That the droplets are that it's aerosolized. It can come in through your nose, your mouth, your eyes, right? So, which would explain why it's really moving around the way it is. And now it's the number one variant, of course, United States. We talked about this here. What was it? 7, 8 weeks ago, where I said a couple weeks into July, you're going to see the Delta variant is going to plume. It's going to be crazy. And then weeks after that, it's going to get much worse. So we see our numbers going up across the country. There's so many different political thoughts about this. And let me tell you, people, it's not political. If you get this variant, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. You know what? It's not the 1% or 2% or 3% who could die. It's about what it's going to do to your lungs or your organs, your kidneys, whatever, the things that it's affecting. It's more like that. The long term, I've seen long term lung reduction in people 30, 40%. And that's going to be for the rest of their lives. Their lungs get basically sliced up. It looks like someone takes a razor blade and cuts it up. This virus is bad. And then you have the Lambda virus on its heels. I was just in our little doctors group there. We all kind of agreed that the Lambda virus was the most frightening things anyone's ever seen because it's all right. So let's say you have the vaccine, right? Whatever vaccine you get. I wouldn't say go to Pfizer. Pfizer's got a 32% effectiveness. This is what this group has put out and also echoed from other places, Mayo Clinic and people like that. All right, 32% around. The Moderna, 72 to 95% effectiveness against the Delta variant. Johnson & Johnson, about 56% effective. This is what the math is telling us, okay? Now so you take the vaccine. The vaccine boosts your immune system a bit, and then it's supposed to go to the cells that have these variants. This COVID-19 anyway, and it has on the cell it has these protein spikes. You've probably seen lots of pictures of the ball with a little mushroom head sticking out. The vaccine will go to those protein spikes, cover them, stick to them, and kill them. Same for antibodies, same for your white blood cells, right? So it's an aid to your immune system. It's something that is supposed to be beneficial to you, right? We don't know the long-term effects are, sure. You can talk about that all day long, but especially if you have pre-existing conditions, this Delta variant's really going after people that have diabetes, that type of thing. So it's up to you to make that choice. But if you have the vaccine, you have more of a chance of surviving this COVID-19 if you get it. That's all there is to it. And yeah, there's breakthrough infections. There's 3,700 and change breakthrough infections since the beginning. Uh, some of them died, most of them didn't. But these are people who went into the hospital anyway. That 3,700 out of I don't know, over 100 million, whatever it is. So you have to look at it this way. One, you want to wear your mask because it's going to keep the droplets out of your nose and your mouth. Number two, you want to stay away from large groups of people. It's all basically what you learned last year, but this is more intense because the Delta variant is 70 times more, 70% more infectious than the COVID from last year. So that's going to show you exactly. So we talked about it on the show before that the original variant basically, and some of the variants that followed it, basically was the one person can infect 2 to 3 people. Your rate of transmission, right? This they're saying 1 to 8 to 9. So that's something you have to understand, that it's way more dangerous. So it's important to examine the facts, and it's important to understand what is going on with this virus. And I'm in a world of people. I'm the only one wearing a mask where I am. People are running around. You might see 1 or 2 people, other people wearing a mask. I'm half vaccinated. I'm waiting to get my next one, but it took me a while to make that decision. I was on the fence because I wanted to be more educated. I wanted to see months of usage before I decided to do that, right? But like I said, it's not a belief. Now you can have your vaccines. You can fight off your Delta variant. Lambda's taking control. It's taking foot within 7 or 8 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever. We're going to be in a world of Lambda. It'll be the dominant variant in the US. The problem with Lambda is that the protein spikes are slippery. So your antibodies, your white blood cells, the things that fight the system, and also the vaccine will not be so apt to stick to those cells and kill those protein spikes. So there needs to be another solution. And there needs to be, usually with a virus, you treat the symptoms, right? Because it's very hard, if not impossible, to kill the virus. There is no cure for the common cold. There's no cure for the flu. There are flu shots you can get, but whether they work or not, and whatever, the percentage is so low, and it really depends on who you are, if it's going to work on you or not. That's a whole nother world, right? But these are very common, but certainly no cure. You treat the symptoms. Now, the only thing we can really hope for, that I see after we get past the half life of these dangerous variants, which I'm putting at another 3.5 years from now, about you know somewhere around there. And just this is just doing the math and doing the timeline. And if you guys know me, I'm all about that. So, and then after that, you're going to see it scale down, and it's itself as being dangerous, right? So there's many times you've seen viruses like the swine flu that came on very strong, killed a lot of people, and as it circulated through people, we got to that herd immunity a bit, and it got down to a point where it wasn't as dangerous. It's still there, it's still affecting people, but it's not as dangerous as it was. That's what we can hope for when it comes to COVID-19. What the bad part is, it's going to take a while to get there, and you have to get through these dangerous variants. And if you think you've had it before and you can fight it off, there are plenty of people getting reinfected with COVID-19 with these new variants. It's almost like a new virus. They say variant, yeah, it's a mutation, yeah, but it has different properties, different symptoms. It causes different things. Like with the Delta, people aren't really reporting that they're losing their sense of smell and taste, but they are reporting that their skin hurts and they're getting large welts on their skin. So getting past that, I'm not going to preach to you. I'm just going to tell you to be careful. And if you have people who love you, go out and get the vaccine. If you want to be around for them, go out and get the vaccine. If you want to live, go out and get the vaccine. I believe the Mayo Clinic and Johns Hopkins when they say that everyone in the U.S. and the world will experience this Delta variant. There's no way to stop it. It's very difficult unless you're like the Unabomber guy living in a shed, up in the middle of the woods. Which I'd be very happy to do that right now. Me personally, as long as I had what I needed: Wi-Fi, a TV, some food, a bed, bathroom. I don't need much. I'm streamlined these days, but it's important to protect yourself. It's a war. It's a war. CDC's headline was, "Oh, it's a whole new war with Delta." These people should have seen it coming. Not for nothing. I'm just some nobody who's a researcher. These guys are the big PhD muckety mucks. These guys are the ones in the know. They're the ones on the spotlight, and then they're the ones making decisions. You think that they would have known this a couple of months ago when I was talking about it, that was going to happen? Or you think they would have known about the coronavirus when I was doing this on the show back in 2000, at the end of 2019, talking about the outbreak in China? You think you'd say, okay, you work for the CDC and the WHO, this is going to get around the world. You shut stuff down now. You stop it now. You stop it in its tracks. Instead, what did China do? They bought 1.4 million airline tickets for people from Wuhan and flew them all over the world. That's what they did. It wasn't those people themselves flying and getting out. And over 700,000 came here. So there's going to have to be a lot of questions answered, and then you're probably not ever going to see that from anybody anytime soon. But maybe one day the historians will look back and say, "Wow, look what these people did to each other," So, and I have my suspicions, my conspiracies, and all that other stuff, but I think much of it was economical, and this is an economic crusher, and people don't want to shut down the economy again, you know. But I think that your average person has learned how to coexist in their own world and their own home office. There's different programs now you can use. People got into their Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all these other things. They're working remotely. Their kids are home doing the schooling, so it's not too far off. Then this is an unprecedented situation. It's never happened before to modern day people in the United States of America. The last pandemic we had was 1918, the Spanish flu, which was the bird flu, which killed hundreds of millions of people around the world. Hundreds of millions. You think that this doesn't have the same potential? So we're about what, 609,000, somewhere around there, dead in the United States within a year. I think that's going to be three times that amount, you know, by next year, maybe even by February, something like that, because I see what people are doing out there, and I see how the mockery of I don't believe in no COVID-19. Yeah, okay, that's that's fine. Stay away from me. You know what I mean? Say I don't need to hang around people like that. That's fine. Stay away from me. So, what's the good news? You ask me. What's the good news? The good news is this very interesting story in National Geographic. Wild U.S. deer found with coronavirus antibodies. They say that's interesting. Tell me more, Michael. Okay, I will. A new study detected coronavirus antibodies in 40% of deer tested this year. Okay. So white-tailed deer, a species found in every U.S. state except Alaska, appear to be contracting the coronavirus in the wild. So one, how the hell are they contracting the coronavirus in the wild? How did these deer get a hold of this? This is a very important thing to understand of how and why, because unless people are going around with COVID-19 and they're kissing deer or whatever, I mean, deer get into trash and things like that. But I think they should find out if it's really that aerosolized, really up in the air like that, right? Anyway, according to the first study, blah, 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 outbreak, researchers with the U.S. Department, this thing's asking me something. So researchers with the U.S. Department of Agriculture have tested all of these deer, and then they realized that there is so over 50% of the deer that they tested have COVID-19, but none of them got sick from COVID-19, right? So that's very important. So now they need to take this information and understand what's different about the deer and the people and why the deer didn't become ill from COVID-19 and why people did, and maybe use that to our advantage, right? So I think that's interesting and it's a good bit of information. It's important to understand things like that through other species, like sharks. We've learned a lot about sharks. We've learned a lot about sharks when it comes to cancer and because they can't get cancer, and that type of thing. So even though no one's cured anything, doctors don't really cure anything, do they? They kind of they they kind of keep you going to pay your bill, right? I mean, isn't that really what it is? You don't want to think that those terrible things, but my mom's an oncologist that she had for 3.5 years. That my sister and I had sit down meetings with multiple times. I've talked to him on the phone, seen him in person. After she died, he didn't even say sorry, my condolences, nothing, nothing. The hospital she was in for 5 days before she died sent a card, and they apologized and said, "I'm sorry, I don't feel bad." And at least they give you some kind of empathy, some kind of caring empathy, whatever, sympathy. All right, so internal CDC documents support the high transmission rate of Delta variant. We talked about that. The documents also show that the breakthrough infections in the vaccinated make people nearly as contagious as those who are unvaccinated. So if you're vaccinated and you're running around without a mask, you need to understand you can contract COVID 19. You may be asymptomatic, you may get some symptoms or whatever, but you can still circulate that virus. You can still make people sick. You can still infect other people. This is why it's a public health emergency. So the ones who are out there saying, I don't want to wear a mask because it's against my rights, that's exactly what they sound like, too, by the way. And is it your right to make somebody else sick? Is that your right? You know what I mean? So it's more about when something's a public health emergency, it's about the public getting together and solving the problem. So, in addition, the CDC released a new outbreak study that shows the breakthrough infections in the vaccinated make people, who are more as even more contagious. And I guess because when the virus, the Delta variant, is so powerful, it actually the level of virus overwhelms your body. So if you're vaccinated, the virus is also trying to find a way around that, right? And they don't know what's going on yet. They're just observing these things now. Is it a reason not to get vaccinated? No, because those people are living. You know, the unvaccinated. There's no reason. I'll just say it's simple as this. You saw what happened in India. You saw what happened in Brazil. Thousands of people dying per day. Brazil's almost at their numbers almost where we are. Their population is completely different. They're almost where we are because of the Delta variant. They're almost at 600,000 deaths. And then look at India. Look what they've added over a quarter of a million just in a few weeks. There's no reason to believe that if you're unvaccinated and you're out there farting around in your groups saying you don't believe in no COVID 19, that you're going to get it and die. Just like the people in India, just like the people in Brazil, there's no difference between people, right? They don't care what country you come from. The virus doesn't care what politics you are. The virus doesn't care what religion you are. It only wants your body. It wants your body. So for all you guys who are lonely out there, you can look forward to that. Something wants you. Yes. But this new report was published today in Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. This is the stuff that I read. this is why this is why people are like, you know what? I can't talk to you sometimes. I like to be informed. I like to read, man. I don't read romance novels. I'm not gonna sit there and read some stuff. I'm not into science fiction, maybe a movie once in a while or whatever, but when I get into reading, I like reading things about science and whatever. That's just me, right? My hobby. So given that these recent findings, the internal CDC slideshow advises that the agency should acknowledge the war has changed. It's a pivotal discovery. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky, see MD and MPH. That's some stuff. See, I have nothing after my name. That maybe ASSHOLE, Michael Angley, ASSHOLE. I'm gonna put that down. People are like, what? What? Said in a statement today that the MMWR report demonstrates that the Delta infection resulted in similarly high SARS CoV 2 viral loads in vaccinated and unvaccinated people. The same. So high viral loads suggest an increased risk of transmission and raised concern, unlike the other variants And remember this: unlike with the other variants, the vaccinated people infected with Delta can transmit the virus. So if you're vaccinated, you get on an airplane, you're going across the country, and you have to go to a hub somewhere, Philadelphia, something, right, or Detroit. You're around those people. You don't have a mask on. They're making people wear masks on planes still, basically. And but if you don't have a mask on, you think I'm impervious because I have the virus. The virus is not some miracle. I mean, the vaccine is not some miracle thing where it's gonna be 100%. Where it got the shield around you. You're dreaming if you think that. And all these percentage rates, the new ones that are coming out. Remember in the beginning they said these vaccines are 95 to 98% effective, and some said 99. Pfizer, they came out to or ours is 99. They were talking about studies in petri dishes in their office. This is now the real deal out in the environment with human beings. And then my little doctor group in Israel says 32%. Yeah, I believe that. 32, you're going to see a lot of breakthrough infections with Pfizer, but, you know, there was no informed choices because you didn't have the data. Now you have the data. You can make your informed choice of what's the best and what's not for you, right? These companies want a booster shot. Congress is saying they're not going to pay for it. So this is your Democratic Congress hard at work saying no, you don't need a booster shot. But what happens if you have the Pfizer and you can't change up? You can't go out and get the Moderna. Then you can't go out and get Johnson. A guy tried that and got really ill and almost died. So the only thing you do is make informed choices before you get your vaccine, right? And it depends on what your needs are, really, as for that. So, and if you have pre-existing conditions, you don't have to worry. Like, don't be like, oh, I can't get the vaccine because I have all these pre-existing conditions. That vaccine is not designed to hurt you. It's not designed to. I don't care what these conspiracy people say. They don't understand. I get people preaching at me, and I'm a nurse. I know, is one particular person, and when she says that, it really irritates me because she doesn't read up on. There are people who get their information from these really right wing sites that are, they make it up as they go along, just like the extreme left. They're both equally nuts, right? The extremists. And when someone says I'm a nurse, I know, but that person hasn't been a nurse in years because they're on disability. So basically, they don't work, right? So they're not in the field. They're not working. They're not seeing it every day. They're not part of it. I have friends who are nurses and doctors who are in it every day, who break down emotionally because of the things that they see. The hospital, the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, was overrun with patients. They have 309 registered beds, overrun with COVID-19 patients, and that's just the beginning. This is just the skin of the teeth. This is just the first dominoes to drop. So when someone says, "Oh, I'm a nurse and I know," that means nothing to me. I don't care what you are. There's a CDC, they don't know. People in the WHO, they don't know. So I mean, where you get your information from? I know where I get my information from. Numbers. I get my information from numbers, and I look for those honest, realistic numbers, not the ones who are spoon-fed by CNN or by Fox or any of those crap hole channels. I'm talking about the real deal. So don't tell me that I'm a nurse and I know. It aggravates me. obviously, obviously. So okay, the report investigators analyzed 469 COVID-19 cases reported in Massachusetts. Because there was this big thing in Provincetown. And the gay population, they're all partying together. It's July 4th. They were like, woohoo, I mean. And then, yeah, there was tons of infections that came out of that place, man. And then they went home to wherever the hell they came from. All right, so the infections were associated with an outbreak following multiple events, large gatherings in Provincetown in the state's easternmost Barnstable County. Barnstable, that county. I don't know why I'm giggling at Barnstable. It's just kind of funny. Also known as Cape Cod. So these guys are partying in Cape Cod. They're doing their thing, getting jiggy with it. Remember HIV? Remember how HIV got around? Remember how HIV killed, turned into AIDS and killed all these people, man? Viruses, the viruses of viruses, right? They do what they do. So, notably, 346 infections, or 74% of the cases, occurred in fully vaccinated individuals. 74%. And then they're infected. This group had a median age of 42 years old and were 87% male. Also, 79% of the breakthrough infections were symptomatic. So, 74% of the cases were in fully vaccinated individuals, 79% were symptomatic, right? Researchers also identified the Delta variant in 90% of the 133 specimens collected. They have to do viral samples, man, and gene sequencing and things like that. It doesn't just happen in 2 seconds. It takes time to do the research. So, that's the problem with COVID-19. We have always been playing catch up instead of being in the forefront, right? That's the problem. You need to get ahead of it and understand it's coming and stop it in its tracks. That's what you need to do. So, if people will cooperate and they don't cooperate, so uh, 4 out of the 5 people hospitalized were fully vaccinated. No deaths were reported. Which is good, right? Hospitalized, no deaths, good. The publication of these results were highly anticipated following the CDC's updated recommendations on Tuesday. So their updated recommendations is that you put the mask back on, right? It's a recommendation, but then people are like, they're not going to do it. People won't do it until there's a mandate, and then they get threatened with a fine. That's what makes people do things. And even then, you got some real wackos out there that are using this to take a stand against things that they believe, which is crazy to begin with. Use that word again. Belief. It gets people in trouble, no? So, all right. Including the visitors outside Massachusetts, now approaching 900 infections. So there you go. There's your rate of infection, right? Uh, Very sobering data. This new information from the CDC around the Delta variant is very sobering. David Hirschwerk, MD, infectious disease specialist at Northwell Health in New Hyde Park, New York. That's a mouthful. Told Medscape Medical News that the CDC is trying to convey and present this uncertain situation clearly to the public based on new accumulated data. He said, for example, given the evidence for higher contagiousness of the Delta variant, there will be situations where vaccinated people will get infected because of the amount of the virus overwhelms the immune system. So imagine this overwhelming the immune system, how powerful Delta is. Now there's also the Delta Plus. You're going to hear people mention Delta Plus, but once you get into Lambda, more deadly, more powerful. I hear people were dropping dead in Peru from Lambda in the street. Like it just comes on, it gets them, right? Scary. And now, it's been here for quite a while. They found it in the wastewater in Las Vegas a month ago. So this is where they look for things. Wastewater, which meant people in Vegas, enough of them certainly, had the virus. And then they were able to detect. So people went to Vegas and then left Vegas. That's why when you look at Nevada, most of the other cities in Nevada don't have as much problems with COVID. It is Las Vegas because people come in, they do their thing, and then they go. They bring the virus, they do their thing, they go. What's happening next week? Ooh, Sturgis. 2.5 million bikers, right? Or people going up to Dakotas. So they're going to bring the virus. They're going to stir the virus around. They're going to circulate the virus because that crowd is that I don't believe in no COVID-19 crowd. It is that crowd. And they're going to leave and they're going to take that virus. They're going to stop at gas stations. They're going to stop at hotels. They're going to go to restaurants and go see people and whatever. And they're going to circulate that virus. This is how the virus gets around. It's people. Simple, right? So this message is that because the Delta variant is much more contagious than the original strain, that unvaccinated persons need to get vaccinated because it's nearly impossible to avoid the virus indefinitely. Michael Lynn, medical doctor. It is nearly impossible to avoid the virus indefinitely, right? Unless you're the guy who lives in the shack. So, and this guy is an infectious disease specialist and epidemiologist at Rush University Medical Center in Chicago. So these people aren't just talking out of their ass; they're saying important things that need to be understood, right? And I don't know. The, well, let's just put it away. No, there is nothing good about this. So, and the very fact that people they have to understand. I'll just say the one. All right, here it is. The one key thing to note is that this does not mean that COVID-19 Delta variant mechanism of spread is the same as chickenpox and Ebola. The primary means of spread of COVID-19, even basically the Delta variant, is droplets. This is so Ebola is different. Chickenpox is different. Measles is the most contagious thing on the planet. Is different. When you say it's as infectious as Ebola, it's different, right? But the droplets makes it even more infectious. When you have to come in contact with somebody, and you contract a virus that way, it's different than having something aerosolized up in the air. So you walk into a building, you're in an office. There's one sick person in the office. They're breathing, talking loud, hacking, whatever they're doing. Maybe not even just displaying any symptoms. Those droplets get up in the air, and they can stay up there for a couple hours, even 2 or 3 hours. Surprisingly, of how long these droplets can live in the air, and you can inhale them. So all the stuff about the virus dies X amount of hours, blah 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 blah. Let me tell you, man, it's getting around very easily, and there's a reason for it, right? So, and like I said before, like these guys here, this also means each person infected with a Delta variant could infect an average of 8 or 9 others, one person. So, in contrast, the original strain of coronavirus was about as infectious as the common cold. In other words, somebody was likely to infect 2 other people. See, we talked about all this here. You don't need to go to the doctors. Just listen to your old buddy Angley, man. All right, never mind. We talked enough about this crap. I want to talk about this crap instead. I think so. I don't want to talk about. I know Ben Affleck, man, and Jennifer Lopez. They're funny. That's the default for each other. I was going to talk about that, but it's getting boring. But I want to talk about Nick Bosa, his more like his girlfriend, actually. I want to know why women get a pass when it comes to racism. Especially beautiful white blonde women. And there's pretty privilege. Especially female privilege. They talk about male privilege, really. There's tons of female privilege, but there's also pretty privilege when you're that attractive. People just do things for you or they give you a pass. So, Nick Bosa's girlfriend flees social media after the N word homophobic tweets emerge. Okay. San Francisco 49ers star Nick Bosa's girlfriend, Jenna Berman, is stepping back from social media after a backlash for some of her tweets. Berman came under fire on Sunday when the Twitter account. And she has a Twitter account. She's making all these racist things, and she gets to keep her account. That's interesting. See, okay, resist programming. Let's see. That's what it's called. Her her Twitter account is called Resist Programming. Resurfaced. Oh, when the Twitter account. Oh, resurfaced a series of tweets in which used the N word repeatedly, as well as homophobic slurs and other racist language. Berman, who has not addressed the situation publicly since deleted her Twitter account, she also made her Instagram account private, which has over 270,000 followers. How private do you get with 270,000? I don't know. And her TikTok account, which has over 1 million followers. I think if you're part of that stuff, the TikTok and whatever, you got no life, man. You have zero life. Like the scoreboard went off in your life and it came up 0-0. You're done. You need to go out and get a life in a pandemic. Go out and get a life and stay away from people, all right? Berman's cookie company business page. She has a cookie company. Is it a racist cookies? Like like F Jews or whatever. Come on, man. You just gotta give bad name to cookies. Berman's Cookie Company, their business page, which shares with her sister Jordan, who has also gone private cookies. Along with Jordan's personal account, the 23-year-old Bosa has not addressed Berman's tweets. The defensive end is no stranger to social media controversy. It's a picture of him, good looking dude. Here's his girl. Woo, look at her, man. You have to have a lot of money to have a girl like that, man. And that's what it is. You know, when women go out there and they say women are not for sale, don't treat us like objects, they do it to themselves. You know? I ain't gonna call you a bimbo, but you identified yourself as such. Bosa has faced scrutiny after previously calling Colin Kaepernick a clown after the former 49ers quarterback began kneeling during the national anthem. I definitely. So is that calling him a clown is worse than her saying the N word? See, do you see how this article just kind of shifted it to him? Well, he called Colin Kaepernick a clown when he took a knee. You know what I mean? Really? But she's using the N word and calling whatever. Right. I definitely made some insensitive decisions throughout my life, Bosa said, after being selected second overall by the 49ers in 2019. I'm just excited to be here with a clean slate. His clean slate. I'm sorry if I hurt anybody. I definitely didn't intend for that to be the case, but I think, you mean because he was speaking his mind, right? And there are people out there that took issue with that. Come on, man. But I think me being here is even better for me as a person because I don't think there's any city that will help you grow as much as the one, yeah, in San Francisco, where people poop on the streets. Talk about growth. Gross, yeah, growth, no. Last week, Bosa made headlines after saying that he hadn't received the COVID-19 vaccine. I haven't, so he's in trouble again. It's his choice. It's his thing, right? He's got to listen to the facts, though. I haven't made a decision quite yet, Bosa said, echoing the other NFL players who have not been jabbed, but I'm following the protocols and we'll see where it goes. A lot of people are on the fence because of that. So that's the end of the article, by the way. They don't say at what just the girls being attacked on social media. You know, they get so she's the victim, but he's the bad guy because he didn't say he liked that idiot took his knee. He didn't like the whole escapade. See, this is the deal. Whatever you do, the results of what you do are that. And if you're trying to bring about a certain result for a cause, you want to do something positive. What Colin Kaepernick did was totally off. And the media just, if they didn't focus on him kneeling, nobody would have noticed. Nobody would have noticed. They used to kneel back in the day for the whole prayer thing and national anthem and all that crap. You saw that dude who's selling insurance to old people now, Joe Namath. I see his ad pop up. Hi, you need life insurance? Well, Joe Namath. Or you got Jimmy J.J. Walker on there. Y'all need insurance. It's dynamite. This is what the world's come to. Oh no, the dude from what's his name? The guy with the reverse mortgage, man. Oh my God, I can't remember his name for the moment because I blocked these people out, and even he came out like when people criticize him that they're ripping off old people for their houses. He's like, "This isn't my first rodeo. You think I'd work for this company if I didn't believe in them? Yeah, I think they give you a check. You know what I mean? You give you a check. You say whatever they want you to say if you give them a check. Look at that Rapino, and I mean, U.S. soccer team just had humiliating losses to Sweden and to Canada. We lost to Canada. All right, that's ridiculous. I mean, hockey maybe, but soccer no. And then you see Rapino in these Subway commercials, like you know. So the woman that you couldn't control with the F word and putting down the U.S. and everybody in it and all that, even though they represent the U.S., which doesn't really make any sense, really. But is there jumping through fire hoops for Subway, doing all these little things and reading the ads and all that for money, for money. But for me, I don't like her. I don't like what she's all about. I don't like what she represents. So I will not go to Subway and buy their product because the last spokesman they had was a child molester. So yeah, okay. I don't have to be part of that. It was the doctors group that started Subway for the healthy alternative and all that. Now they're getting knocked because they say there's no tuna. There's no registered tuna in their tuna sub. So you'll probably see all these commercials pop up saying, 100% real tuna. We have a lot of tuna. They have to get some football player to get on there, another soccer player. They should get Rapino. You'll love my tuna. And have like a tuna with a blue head, a purple head running around. That's my version of a commercial, man. But either way, this dude, so this girl out there, racist, N word, but it's okay for some people to say it, I guess. But it's not okay, is it? The media gives him a pass because she's devastatingly gorgeous and all that. If you like that sort of thing, which most guys do. But the reality is, it's toxic. It's toxic behavior. And when you turn a blind eye to that, it circulates, it gets bigger. You think that she doesn't influence people with 270,000 people following her? So obviously if social media people attacked her and she had to, draw back from that, that's more the public throwing rocks at her. But the media, nothing. They make him to be the bad guy and bring out Colin Kaepernick, which had nothing to do with what the hell she was doing, right? But that's the world we're in. They give women the pass, especially when they're attractive. Because the cops do it all the time. They pull women over attractive, they get away with it. They flash they stick their boobs out a little bit and boom, they get it. Guys don't have that. So, hey man, would I do the same thing if I was a girl? If a cop pulled me over? Of course, man. I'll show some boobs and I get a ticket. Is that morals or is that just working with what you got? But I'm just saying that it exists in this world and it's something to recognize and be careful of and be weary of because these days you make some off comment, you say something terrible, whatever, they're going back and publicly prosecuting people, persecuting them really for comments they made from 10 and 11 years ago, right? This comment from the girl was back in 2013. So, and they're bringing it up now. I got suspended off of Facebook for something, a little cartoony thing I put out there 8 years ago. 8 years ago, and we're suspending you for 24 hours. Suspending me for 24 hours now from 8 years ago from a little cartoon thing. Really? And it was not even like it wasn't racist. It wasn't sexist. It was any of that. But that's what they're all about is persecution. And open your eyes. You'll see those words, obey. Open your eyes and understand what world you're in. Take the red pill and open your eyes. I will see you guys next week on this show, Red Pill News. And I have to thank all my fans out there, man. I will tell you, we are in the millions. We got people communicating with me, got people all over the world making their statements, man. I love it. Give me more, give me more, give me more Red Pill News. I'll see you guys next week on United Public Radio Network, UPRN, TalkRadio.com. 105, whatever our station numbers are these days. I'll see you next week. Bye.